It's time for your mix of movers and shakers, of doers and makers. It's time for Funko Fun Chat.
Today's guest, you know him as the voice of Frieza from Dragon Ball. It's Daman Mills.
I'm Daman Mills. I'm a voice actor and ADR director. I voice Frieza in the Dragon Ball series. I've recorded for Final Fantasy VII Remake, Skate the Infinity, My Hero Academia, and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, Dragon Ball is an iconic franchise. I voice
Frieza, who is the villainous character that hates the Saiyans.
You surprise me, but you're still no match for your gilded foe!
He's such a fun one because he's so not what I am, and he's doing such heinous, villainous things all the time, and killing people and destroying planets, and it's madness. But I love being able to kind of jump into his shoes and play that.
I would think this pin here would be much more elegant, shiny, even golden perhaps. It's lacking all the little things that would make it much more marvelous. And it can't even stand on its own. Falling all over the place. What kind of creations are you making here? You should be ashamed.
This is from a show called Tokyo Ghoul, where I voice Ginshi Shirazu. He is a Quinx who has been infused with powers of a ghoul. And he kind of sounds like this. He's a little bit stupid. And he's just, yeah, he's a goober. I love him. So I've always been a fan of anime and video games since I was a kid. When I was a teenager, I was being opened up to the world of voice acting and understanding what it is. And so, funnily enough, Dragon Ball is kind of what got me interested in voice acting, because I was understanding, oh, these characters have people that do the voice for a profession, and that's really cool, and that's awesome, and I would love to do that someday. Looking into how to do that, I kind of did little indie projects on my own, recorded on my own, just as practice. I remember my mom used to be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed and introverted, and you shouldn't know any of this." I eventually started getting connected with people in the industry and getting either advice from them or moving around a lot. It's a creative outlet for me, and that's what it became when I was a teenager. At first it was like a hobby. I was a really shy kid and didn't really have a ton of friends, and I was kind of like closed off from, social groups and wasn't popular or anything. And I found it to be a really helpful outlet for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone. And I just love the media, and I found a real joy in being able to act and bring these characters to life. As soon as I was told, like, hey, you might be actually pretty good at this, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try it and see where it takes me, and it's taken me here. Yeah, especially the character for Dragon Ball. I'm not the first voice actor for Frieza, but I grew up watching it, so I knew the character already and what that needed to be brought to the table with that. Or I've known about the kind of genre and how the sound is, like anime in particular. I would watch dubs, and so I was familiar with the sound that they would use in cast. And it also brings a passion that I think is useful when you're getting into this field, because what it comes with is a lot of rejection and a lot of hard work, and doing it because you love it, I think, is really helpful getting through those harder times of it. With this career, I've had to get comfortable with performing in front of people, and it could be one person, two people, 10, 20, depending on how many clients are in the room, or even going to conventions and then speaking in front of crowds, and a lot of the networking that we have to do. I feel like it's made me a lot more comfortable and competent at social skills and conversations. Whereas before I would dread thinking about it. When I first got into this and I was thinking, oh gosh, I have to record in front of people in a studio, I was terrified because I didn't know if I could do it and pull it off. But I think once you get comfortable with it and you get outside of your comfort zone, I think anybody can do it. It's kind of insane to see how much anime specifically has boomed over the past couple years. It's become so much more mainstream. I mean, we're seeing Goku from Dragon Ball Super in the Macy's Day Parade for Thanksgiving. Like, that's insane to me. We've always had Pokemon, but now Dragon Ball and My Hero Academia and other things are becoming so popular that you see it everywhere. The newest movies, for example, are doing so well at the box office that they've been #1 when they come out, which is crazy. For anime, like, I'm floored. And we meet so many people, it's so much, I don't know, it really resonates with me to have something that's loved by so many people and something that I love too. Funny, I remember when I was in school and I would get bullied for liking Pokemon or whatever, and I'm like, cool, now Pokemon pays my bills, or like Dragon Ball pays my bills, or you know what I mean? Like, it's such a neat thing to have that kind of full circle. Recently, with an anime I did called Skate the Infinity, there's a lot of people who watch that show who are LGBTQ, and the people that come to me telling me how the show has really helped and resonated with them on that level, and they've been able to come out, or they feel comfortable becoming trans or non-binary and telling their parents, and it's so touching to me that something like that would help somebody through that time, because it's very hard. I mean, I'm a gay man, and I get how hard that can be. Even just like 10 years ago, it was a lot less accepted. So meeting people at conventions is really cathartic for me, and it makes me so happy to hear my work in any way has impacted them in a positive way, and that's gotten them through some hard or challenging times, or help them find themselves too. It's funny, I don't think my dad ever quite understood. He knew like what I was doing, kind of, but my mom, she didn't quite get it at first, but I think now she really understands. She's so super supportive of it too. I remember she got me my first microphone, which is like, I think a Logitech headset, something really like, you do not use that for recording. But at the time it was just like having something to record my voice on and play it back so I can kind of get used to my own sound. A big one for me was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I grew up playing the Final Fantasy games, and I've always been super attracted to them. I think they're an amazing experience. When COVID hit, I was playing the remake at home, the first part of it, and I was like, oh man, it would be so cool to be able to be a part of this. And I was still in Texas, about to move to LA, and I was like, oh, please, that'd be amazing. No idea. And I moved to LA not long after I got an audition for the next installment, the Final Fantasy Remake Integrate. I auditioned, didn't hear anything for a bit. I got a call back, didn't hear anything for 4 months, and I got cast, and I cried because it was such a huge accomplishment for me. I couldn't believe it. Man, I would love to do any, like I was saying, Disney, like film or something, like a villain or something from like, I don't know, like Jafar or Captain Hook or anything iconic like that. That would be amazing. Or create my own new one. I love the Disney villains. I think I've always been more fascinated with villain characters, and I love playing them. I think they're really fun. Though I get a chance to play all kinds of different characters as well. I've done protagonists and stuff like that too. But I don't know, I think Disney villains in particular, because I find them more interesting than, say, the protagonist characters, because they usually have a bunch of different cool things or wicked things that they do, or a cool song or something that makes them endearing. I mean, there's a whole Disney villain section out there, and I was just like, ooh, this is all amazing. So it's a little bit of a sad story, but I'll share it. So the role originally was cast with Linda Young, who did the Dragon Ball Z original OG stuff. She's a dear, dear friend. I love her very much. They went in a different direction, starting with Dragon Ball Z Kai, where they cast Christopher Ayers. Chris had been doing it up until the past few years when he came down with a medical condition where he needed a double lung transplant. He had end-stage COPD emphysema. And he was hanging in there, and he would do as much as he could, but that's when they had sent out auditions to have a voice match and understudy, and that's when I came in. He unfortunately passed away last year. It's really hard to have that happen with the situation, but he was a very, very dear friend of mine, and he was so super supportive of me doing it as well. And all I can do with this role is to carry on his legacy of such an iconic performance and character, and keep his soul alive through that. Not only the community, but my fellow cast members as well, and everybody working with me at Crunchyroll or Bandai Namco or any of these other entities. They've all been super wonderful. The fans, they think I hit pretty close with what Chris laid down for the character, so they've been very accepting and warm and lovely about it, and I give it 200% every time I record it, because as a fan myself, I want it to be good, and I give it my everything, even if it means, hurting my voice, which I try not to. But he's a very screamy boy.
Now that's a fun chat, but there's more. Check out these other interviews and more fun stuff on Funko Fun TV.